And this is, I just have 5 minutes, and as you have said, it's going to be a reflection, so I wasn't very sure as to what to say. But after listening to Professor Corner on this wonderful research and the descriptions of the mountains, in fact, the dissection of the mountains, if I am allowed to say so, I'm just wondering whether what I'm going to speak on is of in any great significance. Really, I think the elaborate classification of mountains, people living there, the range and scope of the resilience and adaptability provided by the mountains to inhabitants there, including human beings, the insects, organisms, plants. I think the depictions that Professor made is really something that I would like to cherish, as well as if there is an opportunity, I would like to be a student. Professor Connor, I'm really, really impressed. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. Living in the mountains, born and brought up here, and working in this environment, I think there is a lot to study and learn from this kind of presentation, this kind of research work that we have presented a moment ago. Thank you very much. And thank you again for including me in this wonderful webinar this afternoon. At the very outset, I would like to wish all the panelists and all the participants, I think I can count about 158 at the moment, who are listening to this live webinar, a very happy International Mountain Day 2020. I just would be very brief. I'd like to be very brief, and then mostly my reflection is about the impact of the coronavirus. Just before Professor Corner, Dr. Chetri mentioned about the impact of the COVID-19 on some of these people living there in their, I think, some kind of migration that they would do. I was reminded of our own community here who live far north in a place called Lunana. And this year, the Lunaps, people living there, took much more longer time than usual to return to their place, because they would come down during the onset of the summer, sometimes in the month of March, April, and then they would go back, onset of the winter, they will come down and then they will go back by May, June. But this year, even going back in June was difficult for them, because they still had to pass through the mountain, the trail with snow, very high, tall snow on the path, as tall as 5 feet, even in the month of June. I don't know whether we should take this as a positive thing. Perhaps many of us are saying that because of this pandemic, the environment is cleaner and the seasons are more stark and clear and not blurred anymore. We had a beautiful autumn this year, and then with the onset of winter, we have bright, sunny, warm days, and we are expecting snow very soon. So it appears like the weather has really improved because of the COVID-19. Probably this is one positive aspect of the pandemic. In Bhutan, we have been very fortunate not to have any community transmission, and therefore no death owing to the coronavirus. However, after there was this first case reported in March in a tourist, the royal government has been very careful not to let the virus enter into the country. We have been very fortunate that His Majesty the King himself has been in the front line along with the Prime Minister and his entire government machinery in making sure that the virus is not getting inside the country, or at least it is not spreading in the community. The 450 odd cases reported so far are mostly imported, and these were found in quarantine. Somehow, I think, therefore, the impact had been minimal. But having said that, We also had our own share of a month-long lockdown following a brief report of community transmission in the border town. And that definitely created some suffering to everyone, including the farmers. I just want to talk a little bit more about the impact of the coronavirus on our farmers, because almost 60% or more people are engaged in farming in our country. They couldn't sell their farm products on time. They suffered damages and loss. Farmers in Bhutan depend on their cash crops like apples, oranges, cardamom, and betel nut, ginger, etc., which are sold mostly to India and Bangladesh. All action yards were closed, and because the buyers could not come into the country. The export, little bit of export that is done through the government, regulated government managed yards, did not face as much profit that normally the people would get. So even inside the country also, the farmers could not travel much, and then they could not reach the market. So I think that definitely seriously impacted the motivation of the farmers to work harder. And in fact, most recently, the southern belt of the country has been declared as a red zone. So even though we grow some vegetables and some fruits in southern belt at this time, and because of these COVID, people are not able to travel north without having to spend some time in quarantine, and that is also causing some difficulty to the farmers. So I just wanted to talk about the impact of the COVID-19 on the farmers. Of course, there is impact on other sectors, but I would like to say here that I think the impact is much smaller than our neighboring countries. So we have been very, very fortunate that way. Lastly, the Himalayas and the Hindu Kush, popularly known as the third pole, is our home, and home for millions of people residing for time immemorial with diverse languages, culture, natural heritage. I think this needs to be further studied and protected from the surge of climate change and other natural and anthropogenic calamities. As Professor Corner mentioned, I think there is a huge degree of the possibility of resilience and adaptability in the mountains because of the different kinds of environmental conditions we will find across places, across different elevations. So I think we have a huge opportunity, but at the same time, it is important that we continuously study and find such opportunities. We need to strengthen our partnerships, perhaps carry out more joint research activities, have more open communications, exchange of information on these changing scenarios of our beautiful mountains. By the way, I think the mountains are still growing up, and I think it's not just the Mount Everest, but I suppose the mountain range would have also grown proportionately. So I think we should congratulate, I suppose, to each other for this new information that has come. So I would like to, at the end, as Dr. Vuzu mentioned, that I'd like to mention that mountains are our heartthrobs, our source of inspiration for not just for environmentalists and biologists, but also for poets and other professionals. So I think we are all fortunate to be born on these mountains, and on this occasion of International Mountain Day, I would like to once again wish everybody a happy International Mountain Day, and thank you very much for including me in this webinar once again. Thank you all.